What's up, 10mm lovers? Ruger LC Carbine 10mm is back again. More gel testing, Underwood ammunition today, pretty much by special request. So we had a lot of comments in the previous videos where we were doing our comparisons with the Delta Elite 5-inch 1911 compared to the 16-inch barrel in the Ruger LC Carbine. Many people suggested Underwood 100 grain Xtreme Defender. I actually did not have that one in my 10mm test series yet, so I went ahead and purchased a box. We added it to the 10mm test series. That video went up yesterday, but we're still filming that today, so everything's just in different time for you. The block's already been hit with 2 handguns. We're going to roll that footage in, but actually you get a bonus this time because you get to see the 3.8-inch XDM Elite from Springfield versus the 1911 Colt Delta Elite 5-inch, and then that versus the 16-inch barrel. So the 100 grain Xtreme Defender is traveling at an advertised velocity of 1825. We didn't get exactly that, but we got pretty darn close. I think we definitely touched 1800 at least. It's a solid copper, but fluted or external hollow point type of a round. It's from Lehigh Defense. That's who makes the projectile. It's really cool stuff. There are Xtreme penetrators and there are Xtreme defenders. There's Xtreme other things, but the two main ones for 10mm are going to be the penetrator or defender. We will be showing the 140 grain Xtreme penetrator, but today we are on the 100 grain Xtreme defender. This is one of the actual projectiles, one of the 100 grain projectiles that came out of the handgun test. And as you can see, it does not deform at all. These external flutes, they push around a whole lot of stuff, including gel, and I'm assuming any kind of tissue that gets in its way. It's going to be pretty much barrier blind. It's going to take a whole lot to deform this bullet. So let me roll in that pistol footage right now. You're going to see 2 different shots on the gel, and then I'll go straight to the 16-inch carbine. All right, up first is a 3.8-inch XDM Elite. Let's see what 100 grains traveling at that speed will do with an Xtreme Defender. I'm going to try to put it in a great place. That's a great place as long as it stayed in the block. 1654 here at the muzzle, and maybe I said it to meters per second, but it says 504 down there, so let's check it. $16.54 here at the muzzle. And yep, I sure did set it for meters per second. So there you go, everybody over there in the other countries that use the other system. 504 meters per second. I don't know what that means, but you do. We have a very angry bird in the background, so don't mind him. But there is our hit. We have a good hit, and you can immediately see how that stuff starts tearing things up in the gel, immediately creating disruption. We can come around to the side here and try to get a good focus for you there. You will see a really good wound channel right there. That is better than your typical jacketed hollow point looking wound channel. Those flutes start immediately shoving things around. There's just a hydraulic pushing effect that happens. There's where the bullet has settled in at. Let me get the tape up. Let's do some actual measurement, but I'll tell you, it pretty much poked 20 inches. It's just landed back a couple. All right, there you go. That's a really nice view. We have good sunlight on that one right now. It's really making it stand out. That's a very massive chunk of permanent wound cavity, at least in a gel block. It's not flesh, but it's gel, so it's representative of something when we compare other bullets to it. So that big part of the wound track, at least from this angle, stops. It starts stopping at, if that makes sense, it starts stopping at 6 inches and it's done stopping at about 7. Then it goes to more of a mild, but not the piercing type of wound channel that you typically see with jacketed hollow points. This stuff still keeps disrupting as it moves down. And it moves down all the way down to 19.25 at least. It's probably sitting between 19 and 19.5 inches. It does have a bounce back. If I can see the bounce back, which is at like 19.75 inches, I can guarantee you that thing tried to come out of that block. It just had a little elasticity and it pulled it back. Let's flip it around from the other side because it's closer to the other side and it will look better. All right, I'm always the one doing the camera here for this, so I'm not the best cameraman. Camera guy's over there working with the slow motion stuff, but wow, what a nice channel. I think I got a good enough focus on it. You can see it much better from this side of the block. You can see that that thing is actually facing us right now. So those flutes that you see are what does all that crazy chaotic stuff all the way back here. We did end up with a little bit of a piercing wound cavity here at the very end. But keep in mind, that thing's surrounded by a big old pocket of gas. So something weird happened right there at the end. you can see that that channel is very consistently getting larger as it goes to the back. It has that very large part right there that's pretty scary looking, but right from the very second it entered that block, it started disruption. All the way through that block, hitting the end of that 20 inches, and I'm telling you, let me go ahead and line up so you can see. You'll see the edge of that block right there. I guarantee you it tried to come out of there. It just couldn't, and it landed back. No deformation in that bullet, no loss of weight. That's 100 grains when we pull it out of there. Let's take a look from the top. You're going to have to put up with a little bit of my reflection from up here, but you can see that there's some charring effect in that block. It definitely had an effect of very, very nasty as it goes down. It's burned its way down. Goes ahead to the end of the block. We do have a deviation. It did go, let's see, the way the block was facing, this stuff deviated to the left. So by the time it was at the end of the block, it was threatening to go a little bit left, not high. It didn't deviate high, but these things actually do deviate a little bit. Sometimes they go straight, but a lot of times I think that disruption throws them off course. So let's go ahead and see what happens out of the 5-inch 1911. All right, now we have the 5-inch barrel. Let's see if that makes a difference. With increased velocity, one of two things are going to happen. Either that fluting is going to create more of a disruption and end up with more resistance, and it's going to slow it down a little, well, maybe trap it a little bit is what the better word would be. So put the brakes on faster, but be more violence, or it could drive deeper. We'll see. The jacketed hollow points tend to open up more violently and stop shorter. It'll be interesting to see what 100 grains of copper will do right about now. Ooh, I saw some sparking out of the barrel. I don't know if there was anything in the block. Pretty good hit. I think we can separate those out. We have 1789 at the barrel, and I kept it on the metric system down there for everybody over there in the other part of the world. 545 as far as meters per second. $1789.6 actually, 545 meters per second. We had a good strike in there. I'm saving some of the rest of that block for something else, so that's good. All right, so they are kind of on top of each other. We're going to have to look at it from the top just for now, get those separated out. They are pretty similar to each other, though. Pretty much that same charring effect, the same initial wound channel. You see the expansion, that bigger part right at the same place. They're kind of tapering down at the same place, and they're kind of acting the same. As they go down, this one deviated to the right, the other one deviated to the left. We've done this multiple times with these type of Lehigh projectiles, the solid coppers, the fluted ones like this. I think actually that has something to do with following path of least resistance. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to line up on the back of the block, and I'm going to show you how one went right and one went left. And I think that just has to do with there is, of course, less density on the edge of the block towards the outside than there is in the center. This gel is very tough stuff. You can barely tear it without scoring it first. But once something starts riding towards the edge, it likes to try to spit out of the edge. I think that's what these do. I can't be certain. Anyway, this one did make it all the way down there to in between the two blocks. It is stuck in between the two, so it's sitting right at 20 inches. It has poked into the other block a little bit with its nose, and you can see a bounce back of at least an inch. I will get the tape measure out. So I would say we could probably call that 21 to 21 and a half, somewhere in there. The tape's a little bit uneven with the two blocks, but you get the picture. It did a poke back. That wound channel looks very nice all the way back. Sorry, little jump in the camera, but that looks all the way back there. It looks nasty right there. Take a look at that. That's where you see the burning effect in there. Did the same thing the first one did, just a little bit differently. Let's take a look from the other side, see if we can try to get anything different. Looking at it from the other side, the one at the top of your screen is the one that we're looking at now. Now we're headed this way. So like I said, pretty much the same looking type of a track. It's on the total other end of the block, so it's distorted looking now. We did have down there what appeared to be a slightly different extra tumble before it left the block, and it left the block with just a little bit of gas there in the track. Let's flip the block and try to look one more time from the top a little better. Actually, I had to show you this first. That thing is sitting right there like that. It's just stuck to that block, sitting backwards. I moved that block off of that block, and that's just how it rests. All right, there we go from the top. They both do the same thing pretty much. Like I said, one deviates to the left, one deviates to the right. One just made it out of the block. One almost made it out of the block. All right, we have one round loaded up. We have a chronograph down there, the Caldwell. Garmin is right underneath me. You just can't see it. I got to try to shoot right over it, so I'll be leaning up on the table. I have a little bit of a holdover, and that should be enough talking. let's actually shoot this thing. That was a little close to the other shot, so hopefully we can still see it. But we have 2123 down there, so that definitely got that 100 grain projectile pretty darn excited. We have 2145.6 on the Garmin, so definitely an increase in foot-pounds of energy. That is significant. 2123. All right, so we were able to put that shot underneath the other two, kind of making a triangle out of it. You can see some immediate charring effect, a little bit more than the other shots, if I can ever get a focus on here. Definitely burned it up a little bit at the entrance, a little bit more than the pistols. Coming around to the side. All right, we have a lot going on here, so bear with my explanation. These are two top channels. We have one there, one there. So this was the 1911, actually, with a 5-inch barrel. Behind that was the XDM Elite. And here is the one we're looking at right now. So we've got a really massive wound channel, actually. That thing is no joke. It starts out as soon as it hits the block. Like I said, it was charring its way along. It goes ahead and it moves down and it stays consistent. And surprisingly, this thing gets even bigger. Right there, there was some kind of a massive tumble effect going on. That's probably going to grow in the gel a little bit. As the gel sits there, it might grow more. It does weird things after time, but it exits the block, and holy crap, it did get a little bit more penetration. So we got both, the best of both worlds. Sometimes, you know, like I said, you get a trade-off. You get a little bit more violence, but less penetration. Sometimes less violence, more penetration. This one, it had both. More penetration, more craziness going on in that wound channel. That is just awesome. I think that the total depth we could say that that thing is sitting at would be right exactly at 22 inches. I see a bounce back from 23 inches. It could have gone a little bit deeper, but let's take a look from the top or the other side. I don't know which one first. All right, we have a pretty good picture of things. You can see the two separate pistol tracks here, and then here's our carbine track down there. That thing is crazy. That is very significant all the way through that block. Now I know why you guys wanted to see that so bad. You guys knew it was going to be chaotic. Here's where we see one of them landing. Keep in mind that the 1911 landed in between the two blocks. We already pulled that out. This is the XDM landed right here. Has a little bubble around it, and then the carbine made it a little bit farther right there. You can see that one doesn't have so much a bubble around it, but that's just because it wasn't tumbling as much at that moment probably. Charred up that bullet a little bit more. You can see a little bit more into the rifling grooves. Definitely has a bounce back and is facing straight forward. So very cool, very effective in my opinion. That thing looks like it might still be growing right now. But yeah, that's pretty awesome. We definitely had an increase in everything with that carbine. I'll try to take a look from the top, which is such a pain in the butt with our lighting here. But that center track is the one we're looking at. As you can see, right in between, a lot of charring effect right there. Just scoots itself all the way down. That violent part that you see is right there, that really wide part. It just looks different from this angle. More charring effect, or at least weird reflection. Don't know exactly until we cut it out, and there's where it lands. All right, we've got all three of them dug out now. There's going to be no difference. This is the XDM, this is the 1911, and this is the 16-inch carbine. They do not deform, they do not lose weight, they do not disform themselves any more than 10mm or 40 caliber projectiles. You can see the rifling could be a little different. Between the two pistols and the carbine, it might just look a hair different. So wow, there's a loading of a projectile that I can get behind in either one of those pistols or that carbine. It's definitely going to spice it up in the carbine. But remember, with the carbine, we're shooting 10mm. We're getting that velocity. We're getting those foot-pounds. We're getting that energy transfer on target that shows you what happens to a target, similar to maybe something. I don't know. Gel block is gel. We have to take it for what it is. But the bottom line is it's controllable. So there's all the information. Let us know what you think in the comments about these projectiles, how they performed, if you would use this in the carbine or the pistols. Like I said, I think it's a winner chicken dinner no matter what. Hope you're enjoying our 10mm ammo series and our carbine series. Thank you for watching this video, and until we see you next time, stay safe, have fun, and keep shooting.